The Biden campaign is leading in the electoral vote as the Trump campaign pursues multiple legal challenges.
CBS 2's Skylar Henry is joining us live from Washington with where things stand right now. Skylar, good morning.
Hey, Suzanne DeMarco, good morning to you. Well, obviously, this is a razor-thin race right now, and the margins are shrinking in certain states and widening in others. When you take a look out west, what's happening in Nevada and Arizona, Joe Biden has a slim lead in Nevada and Arizona, but it appears that President Trump is catching up in certain areas. But then when you take a look at states like a Pennsylvania and a Georgia, where the president has a lead, the former vice president is catching up to him. Both of these sides are confident in this race. As you mentioned, President Trump is seeking legal action in many battleground states, but the former vice president is saying not so fast.
The battleground states of Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia are getting closer to wrapping up their vote counts.
The anticipation is we will continue to go through the process throughout the day and into the evening if necessary.
The race remains too close to call in those states, with Democratic nominee Joe Biden holding a slight lead in the western states and President Trump with an edge in Georgia. If Biden picks up two of those states, he will be the next president.
It's clear that we're winning enough states to reach 270 electoral votes needed to win the presidency.
Or Pennsylvania could send Biden to the White House. President Trump is leading in the Keystone State, but the majority of outstanding ballots are in Democratic-friendly areas.
I feel very good about Pennsylvania. Virtually all the remaining ballots to be counted were cast by mail.
The president tweeted this morning, "Stop the count."
The president promised he would send in the lawyers, and that's exactly what he's doing, with the campaign filing lawsuits in multiple states.
The president dispatched his son and personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, to Philadelphia Wednesday.
We are going to continue the lawsuit here. We're going to bring a second one, and then we're going to bring a federal lawsuit.
Republicans say they are planning to file a new lawsuit in Nevada today. That's on top of lawsuits already filed in Georgia and Michigan, and a demand for a recount in Wisconsin.
You're talking about less than 1%, about 0.7% of the vote is the difference between the two candidates. And as you just alluded to, it's about 21,000 votes. Typically hundreds, not thousands of votes shift in an election statewide.
The Biden campaign says it will fight the lawsuits to make sure every vote is counted.
Now, speaking of all of this litigation here, a Michigan judge just denied a request from the Trump campaign to halt vote counting in that state. Obviously, the campaign is trying to have litigation in several key battleground states, from Wisconsin to Michigan to Georgia, Pennsylvania even. And so all of this is an interesting time right now as these votes continue to come in.
Georgia made a similar move as well there. Skylar, before you go, can you talk about the razor-thin margins in these battleground states?
Yeah, so if you take a look at what we're seeing, particularly out of a state like Georgia right now, in Metro Atlanta, that is really where you're starting to see a lot of the vote come in. That is an area that is gaining for the former vice president, and it could very well be that he actually comes out on top there. I think at last check about an hour ago, they still had about 50,000 votes still left to be counted here, and President Trump only had about a 14,000 vote lead in terms of that state. The same could be said in Nevada, where we're starting to see some interesting margins there, but the election official in that state said that they don't expect to have a full count until sometime this weekend, but votes can still be accepted, or excuse me, ballots can still be accepted if they are postmarked by November 3rd until next Thursday.
Yeah, they are on pins and needles in Fulton County there in Georgia. Yeah. All right, Skylar, thank you very much. We appreciate it and good to see you.